Did you gain any added respect for Nico in that game?
Yeah, he's sensational. So
I didn't realize he was that good of an athlete.
They don't.
I really didn't.
They don't do him any favors sometimes with not letting him participate in actual designed runs. Like, I think they can be more creative with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times where he definitely looks like the best athlete on the field.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of tools in the tool bag.
I thought they got a little big for their britches. This isn't hindsight. On the 4th and 1 stop Nebraska had that was key in the second quarter. On that 3rd and 1, I understand football opportunity. You take your shot sometimes on that 3rd and 1 because you think you're going so good with the run. But after they had that like 9-minute, almost 10-minute drive, and they were working on another one, I thought that was just a huge mistake to like just cram it at Nebraska 2 times there, move the sticks, keep that clock moving another 1 or 2 minutes at least. And I mean, they were on the march toward another like 7-minute type of drive. And I thought they did Nebraska a big favor with that play call.
Yeah. So every I got that a lot on the, not a lot. There were a couple of social media deals. Well, hey, thank goodness they threw it on 3rd and 1. I'm like, you guys are like masochists. Do you know how many times over like the last 20 years, like if you could take a play, what it's like, why when it happens to Nebraska, you point it out, and when Nebraska does it, you point it out. Like, at some point, just understand that everybody has those kind of what the heck's.
It's football. It happens.
Oh yeah, that's a definite natural call in that situation. Don't get me wrong. I just thought in the particular game, the way it was going, the flow of it, and that drive that had preceded it, I thought that was an assist to Nebraska, but Nebraska had to take advantage of it. You have that jolt. It's like, all right, it's 4th and 1, get off the field here, and Andrew Marshall comes in, makes a nice play to kind of set it on fire. And then
super unselfish job by Marshall. That was
So give the Husker defense credit there. I mean, they rose up, and that ended up. It felt like a big sequence to get that separation early, and obviously it ended up being so.
That's the one where he boxed him in, Singleton, and then Shavers come in.
Yeah,
that was a really good play.
Like he gave himself up. I mean, that's a 190-pound guy taking on a kick-out block.
BC, I do think there's like, is there any part of you that wonders if part of the reason they took that shot is like, I think offensive coordinators know how hard it is to score on a 17-play drive, and they go, hey, are the chances of us doing that consistently enough to win a ball game that way are probably not great. This is an ideal time to take a shot because we do think we can pick up the 4th and 1 based on how things have been going.
Oh yeah, I mean that was definitely part of the thinking, and also Nebraska's been a tough team to throw it on, so you're looking for situations where it's your advantage, and that would be one. And so I get all the reasons why you would do it. I don't want to just beat the drum on it, but when it happened, I was like, okay, that's nice for Nebraska. Now get off the field here, and you have a chance to really not blow it open, but you did get that distance that you needed. And so Nico was kind of all over the place in the first half throwing it too. Like he got maybe a little bit more dialed in, but it felt like his throws could go anywhere in the first half of that game, as good as he was running it.
When you're looking at, I want to stay before we get to the whole Lateef thing. When you're watching how UCLA wants to play, how they ended up playing, did you at all go back to they had a week to prepare, or they were kind of coming in as a trendy team, or they were actually favored, or any of that? Because I think at the end of the game when we watched it, it was just UCLA. But going into the game, we certainly weren't saying, oh, this is just UCLA. Like, I hate the double standard after we saw how it played out. We were wetting our pants going into this game.
Yeah, it's a good win. That's the bottom line. That's how I feel about it.
Right? Am I misreading that? Like,
no.
There's some who are like that, some who aren't. I mean, it depends what street corner you're on. But yeah, I mean, what was it? A 1.5 point UCLA favorite by kickoff? Was that what it was?
Yeah, 22nd and Sprague. That's the street corner I'm on, BC. Go ahead.
No, I mean, they had the bye week. They were fresh. You knew that with that, Nico's legs were going to be even more emphasized. Obviously, they had the film on Nebraska that said, hey, test him on this, but he'd also been rested up. They were going to do run-oriented stuff with him. So there's that part. Even though they had lost the week before to Indiana, I think there was a thought, and probably in their camp, like, hey, Indiana's crushing everybody. Look at what was done before that. We've got some momentum. Let's come out of this bye and we can finish strong. So you're facing a team that I think was motivated in all aspects to kind of flip the end of their season with their interim coach and their OC and sort of the juice they had. And so by no means was that an easy game psychologically. Like the other side is up for it. But Nebraska, just to go down on that, to get the 3-and-out first off was huge. And then that opening drive for TJ, I thought when he tucked it and ran, we'll get to him, I'm sure. But, on the first play for 14 yards, UCLA knows that's going to be on the table probably, but it's like, here it is right in front of your face. First play, beware, he can do that. I thought that was a big deal. And then the crowd was a big deal too. This is 2 games Nebraska's gone on the road where Nebraska fans have neutered the home field advantage of the other side. And you knew that after Nebraska got that lead early, if they could push it to like 14 points up like they did, some of those students were going to leave and it could just be kind of a Husker home crowd all the way. And so I thought all that kind of worked together, but by no means am I discounting the win. When I saw that McCullough was out, heard that he was out, I was like, okay, you're out your QB1 and you're out one of your most versatile guys on defense. This is not going to be easy, but I do think this team bought into.
You're on your third tackle. There was a lot. Yeah,
Nebraska was beat up, and so credit to their messaging, and not just the messaging, but how they really bought into it and held hands on that idea of like, elevate yourself a little bit because this guy next to you sort of thing. And I think they really did, like Sunday or Monday, right after that UCSC loss that was so tough, get off the mat quicker than a team normally might in that circumstance. And maybe it, in a weird way, there was a help that you like had this new quarterback that you had to you had that easy, like, let's go, let's build him up sort of thing. But they definitely showed it on the field that wasn't just talk during the week.
BC, you mentioned the defensive line earlier. What have you seen from them in terms of progression over the course of the year? Because I thought you could make the argument this was their best game defensively on the front over the course of the season.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ravi, because I think there were times where Keona especially, but even RVP had some plays where even if he didn't make it, it felt just like more disruptive off the jump. Like guys were getting off blocks quicker and it's setting up other dudes to make plays. And so that was what was encouraging to me, was sort of the pushback. And if you listen to UCLA's post-game comments or read them, even though that ended up a 7-point game, Tim Skipper didn't actually talk that much like it was a 7-point game because he knew down on the field that in the trenches on both sides, they were losing. And so that's the biggest takeaway. Nebraska won the game, obviously good, but it wasn't just like both sides of the ball on the lines, Nebraska was winning. And that's something that you can really feel good about, I guess, going to this bye week. But I thought Keona played his best game by far. It was great to see him get the sack. His family was on the plane when I was traveling home wearing their 97s. And, that just had to feel like $1 million to them after a game like that.
So when you're kind of watching the performance, and I thought like the narrative that surrounded the final score wasn't indicative of how the game was played, right? Because if Nebraska wanted to score again on another drive, they could have. They chose not to. So in my head, I was thinking, well, if they stay on the gas as opposed to just milking the clock while still moving the ball, and it was 14 points, would we have felt better about what we actually saw?
Yeah, there would have been a little better initial reaction to it, probably by
Nebraska
some.
did that by choice too, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to nitpick, there's that part, and I'm sure they're looking at it too, like where you're always like, what can you get better at, and those moments when you can step on a team's throat. And both the offense and defense will have series in this game that they can look at and say, you know what, if this play here, if something's a little different, we take care of this game just a little bit easier. I thought there was like 2 drives where the offense didn't score, right? Like a late third, early fourth quarter before the finishing drive. And if I remember right, on one of them, they didn't score for the first time. UCLA got like a TFL for like one of the first times I remember. It felt like it was like a 2nd and 13 or something. And then that was the one where actually I think Dan Key had one go off his hands that should have been complete. That probably would have been close to the sticks if he caught it and ran. So what Nebraska did well is they stayed in favorable down and distances, obviously all throughout the first half. And I thought a big deal to that was, Lateef's feet. It is an advantage to have that where like there was that 7-yard little flip pass he had to Emmett where Lateef could have run for it too, but he just like kind of spins out. And that was a decent pass rush by UCLA, but Lateef made it a nothing burger just by like how easy it was for him to get out of it. And then there was another like 2nd and 8 where he ran a zone read and he outran the guy to the edge and got 7 yards. And those are the plays everyone forgets about kind of, but you have 3rd and 1, Harburg sneaks it. Like there were some plays they had for him and used his skill set so well to just keep Nebraska on schedule for most of that game. And maybe there was like one series where they got a little off schedule and that's when it didn't work out. But otherwise it felt like they were kind of playing to their rhythm most of the night.
Were you surprised at all that Lateef didn't run more? I think that was kind of one of the narratives coming into that game was that, hey, we're going to see a ton of zone read, a ton of RPO. I think a lot of people thought like 8 to 12 carries maybe, and that just really did not end up being the case.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I guess that also goes to like they do truly, I think, trust him to run the full offense and, to throw in certain situations where maybe some people on the outside looking in are expecting that would be a QB run. And, they said it after the game. It's a big deal. And I'm sure it is to TJ on that last 4-minute drive to close them out when you call 2 pass plays in a row and you believe in your guy that he's going to execute, not do something foolish. And he did. And so I think to your question, that's a product of belief in TJ and just running the full offense as you have. But just then sprinkling in that added element of his feet where maybe he's got a little more to that than Rhule does. And that part was very useful. There's no question.
So so Nebraska offensively, there's this conversation. It's kind of the undertone of why, if it's, and I'm not, you can insert names because I don't think the specific names ultimately matter in coaching. You have a job to do as a coach. So I say all that to say that, and you look at, well, a coach called a game like this and it played to such and such strengths.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it looked. Does it have to look a certain way at the end for us to be consistent with that philosophy? Because I ask the question because I say at sometimes Coach Holgerson's going to call a game or an offense that accentuates Dylan's strengths too.
Right.
It's just we have to like the way it looks when it looks the way we want it to. I'm just trying to balance. Is it all about how it looks at the end before we decide if we like it or not?
I mean, it's a good question. I suppose there's some of that. I mean, there's been games this year where I felt like Dana and Dylan have meshed really well too. And trust me, I don't want to make the whole discussion pitting this guy, that guy sort of thing. But I just thought in this particular week, when you have, some would see it as a challenge with a new quarterback. And I'm probably getting away from your question, but I just like that Nebraska looked at it as an opportunity all week instead of a roadblock, and when you have that sort of mindset, you can go on the road and win a game like that. And I think they they looked at it as an opportunity, partly because that's the head coach's MO, but also because they've seen the work that TJ has put in all offseason. I mean, let's not forget when he got here, guys, there was a real conversation about like if he'd be like the third quarterback with some people. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, he wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he
but,
was Graham.
Yeah. Gramstad, him, and Marcos, and so you're like, okay, maybe they're going to go sort of with the older guy as the backup, and then who's going to win between those other two as third string, and you start to pick up sound in the offseason in the spring, like TJ looks pretty good. He can spin it. He's a little more mobile than we thought and all that stuff, and he just did not stop with that. Like some guys in their true freshman year, they have that like 1 or 2 weeks in the spring when it's kind of looking good for them, and then it kind of fades, and it didn't. And he's just kept progressing, and I think that's why there was so much confidence, and Dana had confidence, like in certain things. Like, yes, he can give us this element maybe a little differently than Dylan, and I can play to that a little bit more. But I also believe in this guy to execute the same type of stuff that Dylan has done in certain situations, and to be able to make checks and all of that. And I just thought that was really impressive from both the player and coach this week.
BC, what do you think we might see after TJ has had a bye week compared to what we saw just from half against USC into the UCLA game? Like, how much do you expect them to try and get him comfortable with more parts of the offense? Do you think he's already there? Like, is there something specific you're looking for?
I don't think there's going to be a dramatic shift. Like, I mean, obviously, if you feel like you can push it one more notch, you do, I guess. But there's a lot of stuff I think already in that book that he can run that they feel you can win games with and can work. It's going to be interesting to see what type of team they meet in Happy Valley with Penn State. Obviously, that's a squad that they've got great dudes on that D line, and they if they want to be, they can be pretty disruptive. That can still be a really good football team. They got a lot of good athletes, and I'm trying to think, is that their senior day? Is that going to be their senior day? I don't know if that still gets guys motivated or not, but we'll see if Penn State still has juice after what happened against Indiana. But Nebraska's got to prepare like they are going to get Penn State's best, and like they're going to play at the top level they can. But to your question, I don't know, Ravi, if they add a little bit more, but I think there's enough on that menu that they feel like they can go in there and win a game like that.
Is there a way that Nebraska has to play relative to what you think the next opponent brings to the table to formulate an opinion on how you feel about this offense is moving?
I mean, I just love the fact that Emmett is just so consistent now, and if you can keep that rolling through these final 2 games, you've got a chance to win both of them. And I like that the O-line has, I think, really just they've caught their stride sort of with Emmett, like this feeling like, hey, we can really get after people running the ball. There are some staples we can feel really good about. And so that's the part to me that's the big deal. Like, just keep playing into that, keep leaning into that. They're confident group right now in how they can run it and how they can block people up front. And that Emmett, even if it is a play that isn't the most well blocked, can get sometimes 5 or 6 yards out of it and still put you in a good down and distance. And so I don't think they got to reinvent the wheel or anything these last 2 games. I think you just get ready, like, let's keep slogging it out. And they've got a pretty good tempo going right now with things. And if you put young TJ in some good third and short type spots, like, it doesn't matter if it's Penn State or Iowa or who the helmet is, he's capable of moving the chains against those guys in those situations. So with Emmett in this O-line, it's been nice for this offensive line. Let's just focus on them from, with kind of the beating they took after Minnesota and some of those midseason games, to have kind of reshifted the narrative by just flat out getting after some people in the run game. And credit to them.
That is our guy, Brian Christopherson, Husker247. BC, great stuff as always. We appreciate it.
All right. Thoughtful one.
Okay. Thanks a lot, guys.